Hey everybody, I'm in Oakland. I'm walking along Harrison. This is Lake Merritt. It is Friday night at about almost 8 o'clock. It's called the Cathedral is here. Some people call it the Crystal Cathedral. But I can remember a time, and I remember this date specifically, it would be 1981. And that building right there was the first high-rise in this stretch of Oakland. This used to be the Citibank building right here. See this? And prior to that, there was nothing else like that. It was a low-rise. Before it there, actually it was a gas station right there. A gas station used to be there. And that was in the 70s. Now, but this building really marked the beginning of the end of the quaintness of Lake Merritt right here. And it took a long time because at that point Oakland was still beset by what I call institutional investor racism, and that is people having money who might build something in San Francisco or live in San Francisco, leapfrogging Oakland and going to Contra Costa County, for example. And that stopped, and that really stopped with the advent, what am I talking about? With the election of Jerry Brown as mayor. And that was in 1998, okay? So Jerry stopped that. Not by any direct action. Well, actually, one direct action he embarked on to stop it was the 10K program. It was the 10,000 housing program, of which I worked on to build 10,000 units of housing in downtown Oakland. And at that time, downtown Oakland was had a population of 6,681 people. And Jerry's idea was along the lines of something called elegant density, but really it wasn't really that. I'll tell you how it started, folks. It started with John Protopopoulos of Madison Park Real Estate and Investment Trust. And John laid out a grid, okay? And he laid out a grid of Oakland, and basically that grid consisted of empty plots, okay? Empty areas where, hey, have a look at this. See that? That's part of the restoration project. It took 22 years to get off the ground. Anyway, John laid out a grid with Jerry, and basically they said, hey, look, here are the areas that can be built, all right? And Jerry called that, they laid out what the units will equal, which is actually 9,981 units, 10K. And that's how the 10K idea came to be. So it worked as long as we had a redevelopment policy to fuel it. And then, of course, the same Mayor Jerry Brown became governor, and he killed it. So there's your point. If you ever see this, all right, keep that in mind. Excuse me, please. Anyway, that fountain was there. Jerry saw that fountain right there, okay? And the lake always had an aeration problem. And so Jerry says, hey, why don't you put that fountain there? We'll clear it up. So that's how the fountain got there. That's Jerry Brown's contribution to Lake Merritt. So there you go. Your little 3 minutes, actually not even 4 minutes in. And here we got another Adams Point sign, right? Note that, no diversity, okay? In other words, a white person rowing as opposed to scenes of diversity in Oakland, which is really what Oakland's about, right? But those Adams Point Preservation Society types, it's another story. Boy, oh boy. That's been here all the time. Something else to keep in mind as you visit Lake Merritt is that Children's Fairyland over here was actually the model for Disneyland. And yep, that's right, Walt Disney visited Children's Fairyland, and much of the concept for Fairyland with its little castle and everything became, you know, Cinderella's castle. But the whole kind of spokes and a wheel design, that was uniquely Disney. Uniquely Disney. So something to keep in mind as you are real estate shopping in Oakland. This is the Oakland Lake Merritt SF Real Estate News Tour at Zenny 62. And remember, if you have a property that you want promoted, contact me, Zenny 62, Zenny Abraham, of course, on YouTube, or go to my site, zenny62.com. So yeah, email zenny@zenny62.com. So yeah.